that they want. So one, understanding that, what I want to do is I want to give you kind of like my secret weapon for creating a marketing message. I call it the conversion equation. It only has four parts. The very first one is interrupt. So now, you all probably notice with all the different types of marketing mediums we have out there, we're like bombarded by messages left and right, right? If it's Facebook, if it's now, even our phones, text is going off. We got emails, we got LinkedIn. So we're bombarded by so many marketing messages. We really have to be able to interrupt into our prospects. I call it, we're all kind of hypnotized, right? So we have to interrupt it in whatever most outrageous way you can. You have to be able to interrupt to grab their attention, right? And then the second step is engage. So now that you have their attention, is you want to be able to address that specific solution that they want. And you want to be able to tell them, look, I have your attention, and what I'm about to tell you is really important. And what I followed up right before, so your interrupt is really what you want to do is you want to address the problem that they have and that they don't want. That's how you really are able to interrupt their and separate yourself from all the other marketing messages. And on the engage side, that's when you want to address the result that they want but don't have. So once you have their attention and you told them, hey, look, what I'm about to tell you is really important. This is the key of it, is education. Education, this is where you really start separating yourself from everybody else, right? Where you might um, give them valuable information and start becoming the expert in your industry, which we all are, right? So you educate them, you start telling them the process that, your valuable information that you're going to give them, how you're going to help them. So once you educate them, then becomes the offer. Now, the offer has to be really compelling. Now, the offer has to be a low threshold, is what I call it. And I'll show you in a second. Your offer has to be kind of like a low risk, right? Because we all think that individuals buy, if they see our ad, they're going to buy it the very first time. And it's actually not. So you want your offer has to be very compelling, where they're able to understand what it is that you want them to do. If it's either download an ebook, right, or maybe book an appointment with you. But the offer has to be really clear, so you really have to know what's the end result that you want, right? And that's what your offer becomes. And so if you follow the conversion equation on all your marketing, you're able to not only grab their attention, but almost walk them through step by step, where you're able to have them do what it is that you want them to do with your offer. So this is an example. This is actually a template from a customer down in Texas that we work with. Now, this was his standard template of his website, right? And this is pretty common for pretty much all kind of within the same industry. Now, if you notice on the upper left hand corner, you got the logo, right? And then you have all the tabs right underneath, and then you have his headline, which is parenting advice and resources from Dr. John Smith. And then right in the middle, you got everything that he specializes in, right? And then on the right hand side, you have his call to action, which is free consultation. Now, if someone goes into his website and is really distressed, right, and they're having problems with their child, if you look on the lower left hand corner, the doctor says, that he's got tons of great information on his website, hundreds and hundreds of pages of articles. Now, if you're a parent and you have a child that's screaming, that you can't just get their attention, you don't have time to read all these pages of wonderful information that the doctor has, right? So this is something that we try to tell everybody. If we apply the conversion equation, this is what happens. So let me show you once after we apply the conversion equation, the changes that it did. So what we did is, so we took the headline. The very first part of the conversion equation is interrupt, right? So again, the way you interrupt is you enter the conversation of your prospect, and looking in their perspective, what's the problem that they're having but they don't want. And that's basically what you address on the very headline is, are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, and belligerent attitude of your child, right? Now we got their mom's or dad's attention, right? And then the sub headline is, now you can discover the secrets to controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. now we're providing part of that result that they want, but they don't have, right? Now we really have their attention. Now the third part is educate. And then if you look on the left-hand side, what we did a little bit different, the little script on this video was, providing more value, right? Understanding them, telling them how he can assist them, and that the offer is learn the secrets to gaining and maintaining control of your child in less than 60 seconds. So he was offering them a solution to be able to not only engage with them and collect their information, but now the doctor starts to become the expert, right? Because he's helping them. And it's actually a low threshold offer because, and I'll show you in a second, we're kind of resistant to that, right? So with this template, he was able to actually get more conversions, and I'll show you the results here. And this was the key, is to be able to provide him a low threshold offer. So originally with original website, these were his results. So he was getting about 300 leads per month. So he was getting about 10% of the people that landed on his website were calling them, right? So about 30. So the doctor was really good. Once he got him on the phone, I mean, he closed them, right? Once he got him on the phone, his conversion rate was about 10% on average. So that which represented about three became new patients, which was the conversion rate was about 1%. And again, that's pretty typical. 1 to 3% is pretty typical from people that actually see your marketing to actually become customers, right? So then what we did was then let's take a look at the results when we applied the conversion equation to the template. So now this is again the format with the conversion equation that I spoke about. So he was still getting the same leads. We didn't add more traffic. He was, he had pretty steady traffic, so he was still getting 300 leads per month. So now what happened though is because our messaging was stronger and we were able to speak to that prospect following the conversion equation, the it doubled. So the conversion rate went from 10% to 20. So he had 60 people that actually requested the offer. Because again, now we're providing them more information and we're speaking to them. And then actually, so 10% still maintained the same. So about six resulted in consultations, and then all six became new patients. Because again, the doctor was the expert. Once he got him on the phone, that's all he needed, right? But it was to get there was the biggest key. And then his average sale for the program that he was running at the time was about $800. It was a number of consultations with the parent and the child. And for him, what this resulted was $2,400 per month increase. Annually, it was 28,800 annual increase in revenue. Now, this was applying from the conversion equation. We went from the original website to this, and this was dramatic for the doctor because now we were able to systematize this for him, right? So that's the key, and that's the power behind the conversion equation. Now, so these are just some examples, some mock-ups of like websites, but again, the most important thing is the offer, right? So, what's the offer here? Like call me. Most people nowadays, the last thing they want to do if they're not ready to buy, they want to dial a number. Why? Because they know at the end of the other line is going to be a salesperson trying to sell them, right? So here's another example. Where's the offer? It's really not a consultation, right? Because again, if we're not ready to buy right now, if we don't need Gary's services right now, we don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want anybody to call us, right? So these offers are really high threshold offers and actually turns away quite a bit of people. So what I want to do is I want to kind of show you the buyer's journey is what I call, which is really important. So the buyer's journey, if you can imagine, starts on the left-hand side, right? It's that individual that's a future buyer, right? And they're really looking at, why should I buy, right? So they're just in the research stage, right? And then eventually, once they do their research and they figure out why should I buy, then they go into the soon to buy buyers. Now, at this point, now they're asking, why shouldn't I buy, right? So they're looking for objections to purchase your product. Now, all the way to the right hand side is the now buyers. Those are the ones that are like just looking for who should I buy from, right? Those are the ones that are, like are the now buyers. Like for a dentist, it might be the one that their teeth has been hurting their tooth for like a week or 2 weeks, and they're ready to make that call. But again, if you notice, that's only 1%, right? So 99% of the people are still just getting there. So we need to be able to craft our message and have our process where we walk them over from future buyers to soon to buy buyers and then now buyers. And that's really the important part, is that to understand, if we just market to the 1% of the buyers, we're missing 99% of the prospects out there. And how do we do that? It's information. Information is the quickest, and to be honest with you, the easiest way to bring someone from a future buyer all the way to a now buyer. Now, so this is something I want you to think about. So in your business, how can you apply the conversion equation in your marketing? How can you get into the conversation of your prospect and then adjust your marketing to be able to adapt to them? And again, keeping in mind of the buyer's journey, that you're walking them along until they become now buyers, right? Because you want to be able to capture the 99% as well. So this is a second strategy that I like to use with my clients, which essentially is really just using joint ventures. And this is one of the quickest ways to be able to build a business. Now, a, I want to define what a joint venture really is. And it's really two more businesses that decide to form a partnership, right? And share markets or endorse a specific product or revenue. Now, of course, they all have the same target market, right? But they provide different services. Now, what I want to do is want to go in with a client that I work with down in Florida. They were a florist, right? So when they came to us, they wanted to grow their business. And so we decided the joint venture was the best for them to be able to grow their business rapidly. So there's something that I call the event chain. And for this, we talked to the florist, right? And we said, okay, so what is your uh, highest revenue slash profit product or service that you provide? And of course, it's weddings, right? So we said, okay, so we took the wedding industry and we created a event chain. And what that means is we figure out what is the very first step that someone is going to walk into the florist and want flowers for their wedding. Well, that's of course when the individual buys the ring, right, at the jeweler to give them to their significant other. So in this case, it's a jeweler, right? And then we continue walking down the path. After they buy the ring, then they're going to the wedding planner, and then third they get their venue, their uh, and then their wedding dress, and then of course then their florist, right? And then we want to think about on the event chain what's below the florist as well. Again, we're walking through that individual, and again that individual, after they get their the flowers, they're going to get their wedding cake and their printer invitations, right? And this is so important to be able to build it this way, because then you're able to maximize all your partnerships. Now, everyone above the florist is perfectly positioned to refer business to the florist, right? And then the other key is everyone below the florist is perfectly positioned to receive referrals from the florist as well. So it's actually a two-way streak that creates with this event chain. So what I want to show you is this. So could the florist obtain just one referral each month from one of the businesses above? Most likely the answer would be yes, right? Because it's not just one, it's multiple businesses. Now, next, could the florist easily send one referral each month to each business below them? And again, if they have customers coming in, if they know they can recommend the wedding cake provider or a printer, right? So the answer, most likely the answer is yes. So now this is where the key comes in. So if the average sale price of the florist wedding flowers is about 3,000, at the time it was $3,000, then just one single referral per month produces an annual increase of $36,000 for the florist. Now, that's just above the florist. Now, if we take the other side of it, if the average sale price of a wedding cake is also $3,000, and if the florist receives about 10% referral fee from the wedding cake maker, this produced for her another $3,600 of annual sales, giving referrals out, right? And then again, if the average sale price for the printer is about $1,000, and if the florist receives 10% referral fee, then just a single referral per month she'll receive another 1,200 dollars of annual increase of sales. And again, this is seen that event chain is both sided, right? And it actually starts creating this domino effect of continuous leads as long as you nurture those relationships with those joint venture partnerships. But this is really one of the strongest ways that you can really build a business pretty quickly. And now, if we when we added this up for the florist, you know, her annual revenue grew about 40,800 because she had this ecosystem of leads coming in, and then as a customer came in, she also gave referrals out, right? And this is really also conservative. Remember, it was just receiving one additional referral from the individuals above her event chain. So by creating this in your business, you really start seeing, some real magic happening. So what I want you to think about in your business is really, what are some of the possible joint venture partnerships? And really the focus is, creating that event chain in your business, because that's the key, is knowing those other businesses and individuals that are above your event chain and then below as well, because then you create that ecosystem inside your business. So now the third strategy that I really want to apply is revenue is a drip campaign. Now, a drip campaign, I'm going to define it because sometimes when I talk to clients, sometimes they know what it is, sometimes they don't. But it's automatically delivering a form of communication to customer prospects at a predetermined and scheduled basis. Now, remember, this is thinking about the buyer's journey. Because remember, not everybody are now buyers, right? So just because I speak to someone today doesn't mean they're going to be a buyer today or tomorrow or the next day. We want to be able to bring and understand the buyer's journey from future buyers all the way over to now buyers, and use a drip campaign as part of that process. Now, again, the way we do it is through information. That's why a drip campaign is so important. Now, this is something to remember, and it's pretty powerful in your business. Is 80% of all sales occur between the 5th and the 12th point of contact. Now, this, needless to say, if your messaging is correct, this is true, right? So, again, 5th to 12th time. So imagine, with the leads coming in, you have to reach out to them between 5 to 12 times, right? And that could be possibly increasing too, depending on your marketing message. So that's why, again, let's go back to our doctor down in Texas that we work with. So this was his original template after we applied the conversion equation. So these were his leads, right? So based on the changes that we made, he had about 28,800 annual revenue increase after the changes we made. Now, what we did was he had 300 leads coming in, right, per month, 60 opt-in for free info offer, right? 6 of them became clients, but then 54 qualified prospects did not engage his services yet. But remember, understanding what we know now about the buyer's journey, we know those are 54 prospects that we can still sell to. So we take those 54 prospects and we put them in a drip campaign and nurture them along, right? Now, for the doctor, what he saw was, he actually saw 2 of them became additional clients per month because he was nurturing through his drip campaign. Now, the cool part to see this, and I love this graph because it really shows the power of it. This is the way it looks like over a year. I mean, it starts with 54, and then remember, 2 of them are becoming clients every month, and it just gradually keeps building up. This is how you really build your pipeline within your business. And with the drip campaign, again, you want to stay in contact with them, providing them value along the way. Now, this ultimately generated for the year 3,600 prospects, and through the squeeze page, it generated 72 clients in 12 months. And the drip campaign actually produced 156 new clients that would have never converted without it. And again, it's being able to systematize your marketing and having a drip campaign to doing the nurturing for you. And because, again, we understand the buyer's journey now, that not everybody is a now buyer. So we need to nurture the 99% of clients or possible clients, right? Now, all that's really left is to add up the additional revenue that we had for our doctor down in Texas. So the advertising, once we applied the conversion equation to his website and converted the landing page, it produced about $28,800 of annual revenue. His drip campaign produced 19,200, and then it really totaled up to $48,000. And again, this was applying just those two strategies of being able to understand the conversion equation on the messaging and then having a drip campaign connected with it, and then you're able to see results like this. And then the cool thing about it is, this isn't just a revenue at one time. If you keep this up and you execute the strategies year over year, this is continuous, right? So imagine, $48,000 coming into your business on a continuous basis. Once you have all this systematized, it can make a pretty big impact. Now, what I want you to think about in your business, how can you implement a drip campaign? And again, it's all referring to the buyer journey. How can you utilize that to be able to create a drip campaign in your business, to be able to nurture that customer from a non-now buyer over to a now buyer? So let me see. So what this really is showing us is, tactical marketing, which is pretty much what's out there, right? Only appeals to that 1% of now buyers, and we really want to be able to be strategic about it and put these strategies in place and focus on those five key areas that I mentioned earlier to be able to, grow your business exponentially. And really, again, these are those five areas. And now now you're starting to see, like, you 10% is almost minimal. 50% increase, it's almost pretty easy to get if you have these strategies in place, and you could really transform your business. Like in our example of going from 60,000 to 474,000, it's pretty dramatic. Now, so one bonus, a couple set of slides that I have is, how do we get more profits? Because right now, a lot of the business that I talk to, they're planning for the new year, right? And they want more profits, right? So it's pretty easy, right? I mean, there's only two ways to be able to increase your overall profitability in your business, and it's really increasing revenue and decrease your costs. I mean, that's it, right? But option one is increase your revenue, and it's pretty simple. It's just raise your prices, what I mentioned earlier. And then option two is decrease your cost of doing business. And there are some, cutting strategies that you can implement, but we're going to focus on the raising prices because that tends to be a hot button for a lot of businesses. And really, when's the last time, the majority of the time when I talk to businesses, they've never, or in a very long time now, raised their prices. And there's usually a fear behind it, right? So, but again, the easiest way to increase your overall profitability is just to simply raise your prices, and that's it. Now, most small businesses have never raised their prices, never, like I mentioned earlier, and there's usually a hesitation when I bring that up because they're scared that any price, like if it's $1 or $5, that no matter what it is, that there's going to be a mass exodus of their customers. Well, let's what I want to do is kind of prove that, right, or not prove it actually. So let's say you sell widget or a service for $100, so your margin's 30%, and you decide to increase that price by 10%. So at the end of the day, it's $110, right? Pretty standard. So with that small increase, really, would that create a loss of customers? Well, I don't know. Let's find out, right? What's that point? So a few customers might leave a course, right? Because a lot of them are going to be, you know, the ones that will leave are going to be price shoppers, and they're really going to be no loyalty to you or your product. They're just looking for the best price, right? And that's going to be expected. But so if there is some customer attrition, to what extent, right? How many customers can we actually lose? So let's take a look at it. So now your business is making an additional $10 because remember, we raised it by 10%, right? And that $10 is 100% profit. It goes straight to your bottom line. Now that's a 33 profit increase. Most people think if I increase my price by 10%, I'm going to increase my profit by, 10%. It's not. They're seeing a 33% increase depending on your margins, but majority of the time in this example is 33% profit increase. That's pretty significant. So for your business to make $1,000 in profit selling your widgets or your services at $100 each, you will need to sell 33.3 widgets or services, right? Just to make $1,000, for example. Now, by increasing your price to 10%, you only need to sell 25 of those widgets and services. Now, what this tells us is, that you can actually lose 25% of its customers just over a measly, 10%. There's no way you're going to lose 25% of them, right? But of course, you always want to err on the safe side, um, and you want to test it. But really understanding that if you just increase it by 10%, you see that dramatic increase in profit. So even if you do lose a little, some customers, the majority of the price increase is going to dramatically impact your business in a positive way. So there's really no easier or faster way than to generate revenue by increasing your pricing. So the so write this down. So the secret to higher prices is really just to raise them, right? And one thing I really want to bring up that I see a lot these days is stop discounting. Depending on your margins, even a 10% discount, it's going to force you to sell 50% more of your product or service. So if you're discounting 10%, you have to sell 50% more to make up the difference. And that's something that I really deter away of discounting. There's other ways that you can provide more value, but discounting, again, if you discount just by 10%, depending on your margins, you have to sell 50% more just to make up the difference. And it's almost kind of chasing, going around the merry-go-round, trying to find your profits when you start discounting. So again, so one major point that I really want to emphasize is small incremental gains in just of these 5 areas are really transformational for every and any business. And again, so if sometimes this information, sometimes when I present a lot, the majority of them feel like, this little girl would, like eat, like drinking out of the fire hose. But I'm always here to provide value. That's the main reasons that I'm here for. And if you are all interested, I did put 8 of my strategies in this book through COVID because I think it's really important, especially through this process of, getting post-pandemic, right? And if you go to findme50k.com, you'll be able to put your information. You're able to download my book with the 8 strategies, and then you would have an option there if you like with the 50-minute strategy call if you like. But I would really suggest to really look at the 8 strategies and to see how you can apply them in your business, and really how to see how the strategies that I just went over, how those numbers work inside your business, which is the most exciting part. Kathy, that's it. Thank you, everybody. And then now I'll open it up for questions. Let me stop sharing.
All right, you can unmute yourself to ask any questions.
There he is. Hey, Greg.
What's up, $1,000,000 to Juan?
How are you, sir?
I got my address ready for that $50,000 check, brother.
Got it. It's great. It's great. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing good, man.
Good.
Usually, raising prices definitely. I think what you're talking about is the people that value you will stick through with you, and the people that it's all about the relationship, not necessarily about the cheapest guy.
Yes.
So we've had guys come to us and say, hey, I know this other auctioneer, that other auctioneer, but I know about your auctions and I want you to do my auction. So what happens is they try to, not those guys, but other guys will try and beat us up on price. And then we start using that opportunity to say, well, if you want to beat me up on price, I've got to reduce my advertising. I've got to take less pictures. I can't do as much promotion. I've got to cut something. I've got to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
And then, or else I just can't do half a job for you. You're asking me to do a job and the hours are not there. The labor, you're not paying me enough to do the job properly. So what do you think about adding value when someone comes in, tries to beat you up on your price? You also have to charge what the market will bear, because it's easier for you because you're in a bean counter to say, raise your price 50%, but to actually see if the market will tolerate that is a different story.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So what do you think about adding value when they try and beat you up on price?
Absolutely. So a couple of the strategies is you want to be able to bundle, right? Or you package certain services. So I'll give you an example. So there was a home builder up in Texas, up in Austin, Texas. They were selling homes, obviously, right? Like cookie cutter homes. So he wanted to add more value. So what we did was he actually packaged a entertainment center with the home, right? So, but the strategy was it was worth about $25,000. He was able to get it wholesale. So he got him for, I think it was for about $7,000, right? So he was able to increase the price of the home because of the perceived value of adding a full customized entertainment center with the house. Now, what that means, like for you, is really, finding other services or other needs that the client has that where you can bundle those services within, right? Because then that's that perceived value. And a lot of times, what I tell customers, Craig, is that we're sometimes providing value already, but sometimes we don't communicate that to them. So what the customer ends up seeing is just the price. What I call is it's value stacking. You make a list of every single thing that you're doing behind the scenes, and you put a monetary value to it, and then you start value stacking it. So now when you present it to the customer, you're saying, look, we're not just doing this. This is everything that we're providing you, and there's a nominal value to it. So you're not, you're not just buying this product or service right now, but this is what you get behind it. And it's called value stacking. And that really starts changing that perception of the customer. It's like, man, you're giving me all this value and it's worth this much, but only for this. Then at that point, they don't even look at the price. But it's our job to have to be able to present it like with the builder, like if the builder could have sold a house with entertainment center and just said, no one would have bought it, but he put a nominal value. Retail value was $25,000, but we're only going to charge you 15,000, with the house, right? But it's bringing that perceived value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The problem for us is there's my competitors will charge literally half of what I charge, and the prices are literally half of what I get. And the customer doesn't really see that side. All he says is, well, we've got a 29% contract. This guy has a 15% contract. And there's so many other moving parts that they see what's in front of their faces. So in a way, we're asking him, don't believe your lying eyes. Yes, he's going to give your stuff away for half the commission. Well, you don't need him to give, you don't need me to, you're not hiring me to give your stuff away. Take it to the dump, take it to Goodwill, or take it to some consignment place and have it gather dust over there. People hire us to move it and get good prices, but it's hard. I feel like we haven't demonstrated everything that we do here, because we do a lot, but we haven't done a good job. Like you said, value stacking. I like that. I think we need to do that in every presentation, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. I mean, and you see that more and more because again, what the customer doesn't know. All they're going to see is, they're going from point A to point B, or actually it'll be like point A, point Z, but they don't see everything in between. And one of the keys, like with the builder that I told you, is once we built that package for them, once their salesperson presented, you want this house, right? That's across the street for this much, or you want our house with entertainment center value this, and then they see that gap of the value. Well, once you present it, they don't want to lose that anymore. It's it's almost like, I want that now, because if you take it away from them, I mean, they're losing at the end. So
yeah,
that's really important.
Well, it's like you're talking about two different things. You're talking about scarcity, and you're also talking about the hook. He created his own hook in marketing or advertising. We have what's called a hook, like a leadoff hitter, like a stud you put up there and you just knock it out of the park that first at bat and just ruin the other team's entire day. So we have what's called the hook. Like, I want to put the very best thing up front. So he created his own hook with that gaming center. That was a very unique proposition. So,
right.
That's almost kind of like who we are. We use weird, funky type of marketing.
Yeah.
We do a lot of more probably some of the chamber people will even tell you, we do text, we do email, e-blasts, we do text marketing. We're always trying to hit the calendars on the chambers. So we're doing some weird stuff. So, but the scarcity, but at the same time, I've only got a company that's like 5-6 people. Right. We can only do so many auctions per month. So maybe we could introduce the scarcity, say, look, I'm booked out until February. So there, the discounting goes out the window. I could tell you, well, you don't want to pay full price. Well, I've got 5 other guys that are ready to pay full price. And after they're done, I'll get to you. So I don't know.
Yep. No, I'll tell you, we most want that one thing that we can't have. Usually.
The takeaway.
The
takeaway.
That's
Yeah.
it, man.
Yeah.
And
Love the takeaway.
and it is a different change of mindset. And like, what we talked about earlier, there are going to be some customers that aren't going to be your customers, but you have to focus on the ones that are your customers. And yeah, we most want the things that we can't have. So.
Well, there's another thing now with these lockdowns, the time frames. We may not be allowed to operate. We actually we joined partners with our place that ships, which is our shipper, so we could continue operations. At the time, our landlord told us, you cannot operate. You're not essential, but we still want you to pay rent. So it's very tough for us. So we had to leave, because they were out of their minds. And so we're in a much better situation. So yeah, we should work together, Juan. I've always liked you, man, but I think we should start printing hundos together.
I agree. It looks like you got the space in the back, man. Let's do it.
Oh, you want to put your office here?
No. We put the printing machine out there. That's good.
Printing? Yeah, you're